The void of Sector 438 Delta was calm on the surface. A sparse, unclaimed expanse in the Veltraxi Dominion's outer rim, the region was generally ignored, except by smugglers or military training exercises. That's why Fleet Strategist Ixer Tharn raised a brow ridge when the anomaly appeared. The tactical display projected before him flickered with alien glyphs as data flowed in. A lone vessel. Small, agile. No transponder. No official registry. A scout. Possibly from a rival empire. Or a new one. Tharn clicked his mandibles in amusement. It seems someone dares to creep through Dominion space, he murmured. His bridge officers bristled in anticipation. Intercept and neutralize. Standard containment protocols. Across the cold expanse of space, the Gungnir, an aging Earth Confederation scout-class ship, hummed as its patched-together systems kept her crew of 5 alive and uncomfortably alert. Captain Riley Voss leaned back in her chair, legs crossed, sipping synthetic coffee from a thermal mug that had "I survived Uranus base" scrawled in permanent marker. "Anything on long range, Dax?" Lieutenant Dax Tran, her sarcastic second-in-command, tapped a flickering panel. "Got movement. Big. Triangular formation, high-energy signatures. Not ours." Riley's brow furrowed. "We drifted too close to a border, didn't we?" "Technically, we drifted through it. Their mapping is all in glyphs and growling noises. We need better star charts." The moment of levity passed. Riley stood, snapping into a soldier's poise. "Battle stations. This might get ugly." The Veltraxi didn't send a message. No warning shot. Just particle lances and gravitic disruptors, lighting the black. Riley's instincts kicked in. Divert auxiliary power to shields. "Mila, give me a gravity wake burst on my mark." Ensign Mila Okoye, Gungnir's engineer, shouted back. "We'll blow half our steering if I do that." "Half's better than dead." "On my mark." The ship jolted, groaned, and spun as Riley executed a corkscrew maneuver between energy blasts, using the debris of a long-dead comet as improvised cover. Tharn narrowed his eyes at the chaos unfolding on his display. The human ship was small, barely larger than a Veltraxi landing skiff. But it moved like a phantom, slipping through firing solutions, leaving decoys and mines. This was not protocol, not logic, not order. "They're improvising," his lieutenant said hesitantly. Tharn spat. "They're flailing. Corner them." Back on the Gungnir, Mila clung to the console as the ship groaned from a glancing hit. "Shields holding." "Barely," she gasped. Tran barked from weapons. "Just jury-rigged a pulse wave into the deflector array. Might blind them for 3 seconds." 3 seconds is a lifetime," Riley said. They executed the plan. A brilliant flash of EM interference surged from the Gungnir. The nearest Veltraxi frigates, sensors overloaded. Riley seized the moment. "Bring us nose-to-nose and launch mag spikes right into their main drive." The Gungnir's experimental rail cannon thudded. Steel bolts, tipped with EMPs, slammed into the frigate's hull, disabling half its systems. The crew of the Gungnir howled in triumph. On the Veltraxi flagship, stunned silence reigned. Tharn rose slowly. "They disabled the Vox Kara, our newest ship, with projectiles?" His command aide whispered. "Commander, we may have underestimated them." He hissed. "They are but one ship." He turned toward the tactical display, and something cold curdled in his gut. One ship. One tiny, battered ship. But somehow, it had made fools of them. Riley let the tension unwind only slightly. She slumped into her chair as Mila patched coolant leaks and Tran muttered threats at the weapons console. "Captain," said Tran, "that was their light screen. You know what that means." "Yeah." She looked out the viewport at the stars. "This was their hello. The real fleet's coming. They disabled one frigate. Not destroyed. That was a message, too." "Options?" she asked. "Run," Mila said. "Hard and fast. We still have the asteroid field nearby." Tran added, "Or we stand our ground and show them humans don't go down easy." "Standing's not the mission," Riley said. "We're scouts. We learn and we survive. So let's survive." 3 hours later, the Veltraxi had begun redeploying. Their ships expanded their sensor web, tracing the Gungnir's radiation signature. But what they found wasn't a retreat. It was debris. Dozens of heat signatures. Decoys, makeshift drones, old parts with fusion cores rigged to mimic engine output. The aliens split to pursue, only to fall into a trap. A magnetic pulse from a dead object disabled the lead interceptor's NAV system. Another drone exploded near a supply ship, forcing emergency evasive maneuvers. Tharn watched in disbelief. They are not fleeing. They are toying with us. Meanwhile, the crew of the Gungnir worked in a cramped control room lit in warning red. Mila wiped sweat from her brow. We just shorted our port drive coil. That last pulse fried the circuit stack. We've bought ourselves 20 minutes, Riley said. That's 20 more than I expected. Tran offered a grim smile. I knew you could pull off a miracle. It's not a miracle, she replied. It's humanity. She glanced at a faded photo taped to the bulkhead. Her brother in a uniform, smiling in front of Earth's moon. He never came back from the Luton conflict. They weren't explorers because it was easy. They did it because someone had to be first. Aboard the Veltraxi flagship, Tharn stood alone at the viewport, watching the wreckage of his carefully laid trap. The enemy had escaped into the asteroid field. He could still feel the sting of that broadcast, an open signal from the human ship. To unknown fleet, we are explorers. We meant no harm, but we will not die quietly. Such arrogance, such defiance. And yet, there was admiration buried beneath the anger. He addressed his fleet. This is not a simple scouting vessel. This is the spear point of a new species, and we will learn everything about them before they learn everything about us. Closing scene. The Gungnir drifted into the asteroid field, concealed among tumbling rocks and unstable gravitational eddies. The crew shared a quiet moment, no cheering now. Just silent acknowledgement of what they'd done, and what was coming. Tran broke the silence. We really pissed them off. Mila chuckled. Think they'll write songs about us? Riley answered. If they do, it'll be in growls and snarls. She turned back to the controls. But they'll remember. Chapter 1 ends. The asteroid field loomed like a shattered planet, fragments spinning in slow, dangerous ballet. It was the kind of place most ships avoided. Navigation was a nightmare, and gravity anomalies scrambled sensors. For the crew of the Gungnir, it was home now. A hunting blind. A crucible. Captain Riley Voss stood on the command deck, arms crossed, eyes locked on the primary holo display. It shimmered with abstract outlines of Veltraxi vessels prowling just beyond the asteroid wall. They're not backing off, Lieutenant Daxtran muttered. They're probing every pocket of space like they expect a damn fleet in here. In a way, Riley said dryly, they're not wrong. Veltraxi flagship, judicator of purity. Fleet strategist Ixer Tharn paced his command dais. No human signals for over 3 cycles. No movement. No engine trails. Explain this. They are hiding in the debris field, his adjutant offered. But our scans. Your scans have yielded nothing, Tharn snapped, mandibles flaring. This should not be possible. They are a scout unit. Why are they eluding a battle-hardened task force? No one answered. Tharn turned to the sensor operator. Deploy recon drones. Sweep sector by sector. I want that ship found and broken. The operator hesitated. Sir, the drones may not navigate the field safely. Tharn's voice turned icy. Then program them to die creatively. Back on the Gungnir. Okay, said Ensign Mila Okoye, brushing a loose braid from her oil-streaked forehead. You've got a choice. I can restore full lateral thrust or give you rear sensor shielding. Not both. Which one's more important to not dying? Tran asked. I'm not an oracle, Dax. Riley made the call. Lateral thrust. I want options to move if we need to. You're assuming they're going to come in after us, Tran said. No, Riley said, a hint of steel in her voice. I'm assuming they already have. The first drone breached the field with the grace of a brick. It clipped a spinning asteroid, tumbled sideways, and detonated in a silent flash. The second was more careful. It used predictive thrust corrections and low-profile scanning, slipping deeper into the field. Then it disappeared. No explosion, no signal. Tharn frowned. Telemetry. His technician checked again. It stopped transmitting. But no sign of destruction. Tharn narrowed his eyes. It's been hijacked. Inside the Gungnir, Tran chuckled as he adjusted the Veltraxi drone's code base from his jury-rig console. I swear, aliens don't believe in passwords. I just brute forced their comms protocol using a recursive function and some polite threats. Riley grinned. Can you control it? Tran wiggled his eyebrows. Better. I can talk through it. Riley gave him the go-ahead. The Veltraxi fleet received a strange message, played over their internal comms, hijacking their command frequency. A low-resolution, hollow image flickered into view. It was Riley Voss, framed by static and glitchy distortion. Her voice was calm, almost amused. You're sending drones into an unstable rock field, looking for one ship. That's flattering. But you might want to bring snacks. It'll take a while. Also, friendly tip, that third drone? It's ours now. The feed cut out. Tharn stood frozen. His crew stared at him in silence. She taunted us. Enraged, Tharn ordered half his fleet to form a containment shell around the asteroid belt. He launched precision charges into the denser clusters to flush the humans out. What followed was chaos. Rocks splintered and collided. Chain reactions turned stable zones into shifting death traps. 2 Veltraxi interceptors were caught in unexpected debris waves and disabled. Amid the confusion, the Gungnir struck. They burst from concealment, coasting along a low-gravity corridor Mila had mapped by hand. Without using thrusters, they glided into position behind a Veltraxi scout ship and launched 2 mag-spike torpedoes into its engine block. The scout ship detonated, its remains crashing into another. Then, without missing a beat, the Gungnir vanished back into the field. The Veltraxi were losing patience and cohesion. Their rigid command structure, based on caste, rank, and hierarchy, could not adapt quickly to unpredictable guerrilla tactics. Meanwhile, the humans thrived in the chaos. They deployed heat-masking panels, passive decoys, and even dead bodies from destroyed drones to simulate false wreckage. Riley's tactics weren't just clever, they were insulting. Tharn finally snapped. Enough of this nonsense. We end it now. Deploy the Korik behemoth. A gasp went through the bridge. The behemoth wasn't standard navy. It was a planet siege vessel, a capital ship designed to glass entire colonies. Sir, that's a violation of escalation protocol. We are at war, and I will not let a lone human scout humiliate the Dominion. Back on the Gungnir, Riley studied the massive spike in energy readings. Well, said Tran, that doesn't look friendly. Mila's voice was grim. That thing's got enough firepower to break a moon in half. We can't take it. No, Riley said slowly. But we can make it look like we can. They hatched the plan in minutes. Mila took what remained of their drone bay and gutted it, attaching high-yield explosives. Tran programmed multiple synchronized attack vectors using the hijacked drone and 2 dead recon beacons. Riley transmitted a single message. This isn't an attack. It's an education. When the Korik behemoth entered the field, its systems were flooded with sensor data, heat signatures, engine pings, reactor echoes. It was suddenly surrounded by what looked like a fleet of human ships emerging from the rocks. The ship launched defensive salvos, but there was nothing to hit. The ships were cleverly disguised debris with embedded emitters and heat sinks. Then the real threat arrived. Riley's trap detonated. Rigged asteroids embedded with explosives surged forward from gravity tide waves. Several impacted the behemoth's outer hull. It wasn't critical damage, but it wasn't about damage. It was about psychology. Tharn watched in horror as a superweapon recoiled from an invisible enemy. His command channels flooded with panicked reports. There are dozens of them, cloaked, moving through the rocks. They're targeting us from multiple vectors. They have stealthed orbital munitions. We're outmatched. Tharn slammed his fist into the control altar. They are lying. It's just one ship. But no one listened. In the command confusion, the Veltraxi outpost commander, a lower noble named Valak Rin, made a fateful decision. He opened a channel to the humans. Human vessel, Rin said in clipped standard Galactic. You have demonstrated technological subversion and combat unpredictability. We believe we faced an invading force. Now we are not so sure. Riley took the call. We're a scout. 1 ship. 1 crew. That's it. You damaged a fleet. You attacked first. A pause. Then Rin said something that stunned everyone. I am recalling my patrol units. Strategist Tharn has exceeded authorized aggression. In the stunned silence that followed, Tran whispered. Did we just win? No, Riley said. But we survived. And we left a scar. As the Veltraxi fleet began its slow withdrawal, Tharn stood alone on the bridge of the Judicator, breathing raggedly. He had lost control, lost ships, lost face, but worst of all, he had lost the illusion of Veltraxi superiority. They hadn't fought a human fleet. They had fought a single scout unit. Closing scene. The crew of the Gungnir sat in the galley, bruised, tired, and still riding the high of survival. Mila lifted a ration bar. To the worst odds and the best dam, Captain. They clinked metal mugs. Riley just smiled, looking out the small viewport at the stars. We made them afraid of the dark. The aftermath of the skirmish left the Gungnir bruised but alive, hidden among the dense asteroid field. The Veltraxi fleet's withdrawal was unexpected, but it did not bring relief. Captain Riley Voss knew this was only a pause, a breath before a storm. She paced the cramped command deck, her eyes sharp beneath the glow of emergency lighting. Around her, the small crew was restless, tension thick as recycled air. We rattled their cage, Lieutenant Dax Tran said from weapons console, fingers idly tracing circuitry. But now they're pissed off enough to bring everything they've got. Yeah, Riley replied, rubbing her temple. And that means the real fight is coming. Veltraxi capital ship, Judicator of Purity. Fleet strategist Ixer Tharn sat stiffly on the command dais, fingers drumming. The damage to his fleet was minor, but the loss of prestige was profound. Commander Valak Rin's recall order was a tactical retreat, not a surrender, he told his officers. The humans fight dirty, guerrilla-style, psychological warfare. They disrupt, confuse, and strike from shadows. His eyes flickered to the ship's holomap, where the Gungnir's last known location pulsed faintly. We must understand why they fight this way. What drives a species so small to resist so fiercely? Back on the Gungnir, Riley gathered her crew in the dim mess hall, their faces lit by flickering overhead lights and the soft hum of life support. We've been scrambling to survive, she began, voice steady. But now we have to learn. About them. About us. About why we matter. Mila glanced up from her datapad. You want to go deep, Captain? Into the Dominion's territory? Riley nodded. They underestimated us because we're small. But we can't hide forever. We need to show strength beyond weapons. Dax smirked. Like a diplomacy meeting with a gun to their head? Like a handshake with both hands, Riley replied. Humanity's unknown past. Riley's plan: send out a discreet signal, encrypted, but accessible to Veltraxi linguists, offering an olive branch. The message contained data on human history, culture, and a promise of peaceful exploration. They broadcast it using an improvised quantum comm system that Mila engineered overnight, risking detection but hoping to build understanding. Let's hope they're curious, not just furious, Riley said. Veltraxi Fleet Command. Tharn watched the transmission with disbelief. The humans weren't just warriors. They were scholars, diplomats, paradoxically fearless and open. He conferred with cultural analysts who debated. Why send history? One Veltraxi scholar asked. To show we're more than fighters, Tharn whispered to himself. That we're unpredictable in more ways than just tactics. A surprise visitor. Days later, an unexpected transmission crackled through. A lone Veltraxi ship entered the asteroid field under a white flag, a sign of parley. On board was Commander Valak Rin, the officer who had called off the fleet. Riley stared at the incoming video feed. Commander Rin, she greeted. To what do we owe the pleasure? Rin's compound eyes glistened with cautious respect. We come to understand, he said. Your tactics are unusual. Your spirit formidable. The meeting. The crews met via secure hololink, exchanging cautious pleasantries and cultural exchanges. Riley explained human resilience, the scars of past wars, the need to adapt and survive. Rin shared Veltraxi traditions, hierarchies, honor, and their fear of unpredictable foes. The dialogue sparked tensions but also understanding. Philosophical clash. Rin asked, why do you fight so differently? With so much improvisation, so much chaos. Riley smiled slightly. Because chaos is human nature. We survive not just through strength but through unpredictability. It's how we thrived on Earth for millennia. Tran added, we don't just adapt, We innovate under pressure. It's in our DNA. Veltraxi reflection. Rin looked conflicted. Your nature is frightening and admirable. You embody what we fear, losing control. Tharn listened, growing more uneasy. A new threat. Suddenly, alarms blared. Sensors detected an incoming Veltraxi dreadnought fleet, led by a radical faction refusing to accept Rin's peaceful overture. The Dominion's Iron Talon, a ship infamous for brutal conquest, moved to crush the Gungnir. Decision point. Riley faced a choice, run or fight. Running is what they expect, she told her crew. But we have a chance to change the story. Mila's hands flew over her console. I can patch us into the asteroid's natural electromagnetic storms. Mask our signatures. Tran cracked his knuckles. And I can rig some of our old tech to act as decoys. Make the Iron Talon think we're a fleet. Riley smiled. Let's turn fear into legend. The ambush. As the dreadnought pierced the asteroid field, the Gungnir executed a series of daring maneuvers. Mila's engineering brilliance kept the ship alive amid the magnetic chaos, while Tran's hacked drones swarmed like angry wasps. The Iron Talon sensors became a tangle of false readings, and its weapons fired blindly. Riley's gambit. Using the confusion, Riley piloted the Gungnir close to the dreadnought's exposed engine core. She launched a volley of electromagnetic pulses, crippling the propulsion systems. The dreadnought groaned under sudden system failures. Victory and loss. The Iron Talon limped away, humiliated but not destroyed. Riley slumped in her chair, exhausted but exhilarated. We're no longer just a scout ship, she said quietly. We're a symbol. Closing scene. Commander Rin's ship remained in orbit, a tentative ally. Perhaps, Rin said in a private channel to Riley, there is hope. For peace. For understanding. Riley looked at the stars. We'll be ready, whatever comes next. The cold void around the asteroid field held its breath. The Gungnir drifted silently, battered but unbowed. Captain Riley Voss stood on the bridge, eyes sharp beneath a shadow of exhaustion. This was it, the final act. Behind them, the Veltraxi fleet was regrouping, furious and fractured. Ahead lay a choice: surrender the hard-won ground or stand and show the Dominion what humanity was truly made of. The calm before the storm. The crew moved with a tense energy, patching systems and readying weapons. Ensign Mila Okoye ran diagnostics on the damaged thrusters, fingers flying over her console. Engineering's holding, but we're down 30% on power distribution, she reported. I'm rerouting auxiliary lines to the shield emitters. Lieutenant Dax Tran checked the sensor array, scanning for enemy movement. Multiple Veltraxi squadrons inbound. 2 capital ships closing fast. Looks like they want to finish what the Iron Talon started. Riley nodded grimly. We're outnumbered, outgunned, but not outsmarted. A message from Rin. Suddenly, a secure channel flickered to life. Commander Volek Rin's hologram appeared, his compound eyes weary but resolute. Captain Voss, Rin said, the Dominion's radicals have rejected peace. They bring war. But you have made allies, even within our ranks. Riley's jaw tightened. We're ready to end this. On our terms. Rin nodded. We can provide intel on their fleet formations and weaknesses. Use it well. Preparing the battlefield. Riley's mind raced as she issued orders. Deploy all remaining drones to create false signatures. Use the asteroid field as a kill zone. Mila, prepare EMP charges for the incoming fleet's navigation systems. Dax grinned. And I've reprogrammed the hijacked drones to swarm and jam their communications. Riley smiled, small victories. The attack begins. The Veltraxi fleet appeared like a dark storm on sensors, moving in coordinated waves. Capital ships blotted out stars as squadrons spread to encircle the Gungnir. Riley gave the command, hold your ground. Engage only when necessary. Patience and precision win this fight. The asteroid field erupted with kinetic fury as ships exchanged volleys, explosions lighting the void. Tactical brilliance. Mila's EMP charges detonated in precise sequences, disabling enemy navigation grids. Dax's drones darted between Veltraxi ships, causing chaos and confusion. Riley piloted the Gungnir with fearless agility, using gravity wells to sling around asteroids, striking then disappearing. Veltraxi Commander Ixertharn's fury. On the Judicator's bridge, Tharn's fury burned like a supernova. "How can one human ship fight like a fleet?" he roared. "Because they fight with heart," Rin replied softly. "And unpredictability." Tharn slammed his fist. "Prepare boarding parties. Take the scout alive." Boarding action. Veltraxi Marines teleported onto the Gungnir's hull, breaching compartments with cutting tools and shock batons. Riley and crew fought fiercely in tight corridors, improvising with whatever they had: wrenches, maintenance bots, even improvised flamethrowers made from engine chemicals. The battle was brutal and intimate. Humanity's resilience. Mila used her engineering knowledge to seal off sections, creating choke points. Dax rigged security turrets remotely, mowing down boarding parties with precision fire. Riley confronted the first wave of Veltraxi Marines, disarming two with quick strikes, her small frame belying brutal efficiency. "Humans don't give up," she growled. Turning the tide. Despite being outnumbered inside their own ship, the crew's tenacity and teamwork turned the corridors into a lethal maze. Using hijacked drones, they flooded the ventilation shafts with incapacitating gas. Slowly, the invaders fell back, their advance stalled. The final gambit. With boarding parties repelled but the outer fleet closing in, Riley made a desperate call. "Mila, prep the experimental plasma pulse. It's a high-risk shot, but it could disable their fleet's command ship." Mila's eyes widened, but she nodded. "I'll need a clean firing window." Dax chimed in. "I'll jam their sensor arrays long enough." The shot. The Gungnir surged from cover, firing the plasma pulse, a brilliant arc of concentrated energy, directed at the Judicator's bridge. The pulse struck, knocking out shields and communication arrays. Chaos erupted aboard the Judicator. Tharn screamed orders, but his command faltered. Veltraxi leadership collapsed. With their flagship crippled and internal communication jammed, the Veltraxi fleet faltered. Rin seized the moment, broadcasting to all ships. "Cease fire. This conflict benefits no one." Several ships disengaged, their crews weary and demoralized. Victory, but at a cost. As calm returned, Riley surveyed the damage. Mila slumped against a console, exhausted. "We did it," Riley said softly. "But we lost good people." She activated the memorial log, listing the names of fallen crew. "Every scar, every loss, they remind us why we fight." The aftermath. Veltraxi representatives met with Riley in a neutral zone. Rin extended a tentative truce, a promise of future dialogue. "Your species has proven worthy of respect," he said. "May this be the beginning of a new chapter." Riley nodded. "And may we never forget the fire that brought us here." Closing scene. The crew gathered in the mess hall once more, battered but unbroken. Riley raised her mug. "To humanity, unpredictable, relentless, and undefeated." They cheered, laughter and hope filling the room. Outside the viewport, stars gleamed like distant promises. The Gungnir set course for the unknown, ready for whatever lay ahead.